In this lesson, we'll learn how we can use symbols to work more efficiently inside Illustrator. Alright, so if you've spent much time at all working inside Illustrator, you'll understand that as your artwork gets more and more complex, you're going to have more and more anchor points within that artwork. And as far as the file size goes, the more anchor points you have, the larger your file is going to be. So as you begin working with more complex graphics, it may be advantageous for you to look for ways to make your workflows more efficient. Now, one way we can do that is by using symbols. Symbols inside Illustrator are created, managed, and organized through the Symbols panel, and that's over here on the right-hand side. Let me just go ahead and snap that free so we can work with just that panel for right now. There we go. Now, you'll notice here that there's nothing in the Symbols panel. That's because I don't have any symbols inside my document here. So, I think that probably a good idea or a good workflow for creating symbols would be to look for repeating elements within your document or within your design. And as you're creating these elements, go ahead and make a symbol of that element. So let's look for some examples here. Maybe some opportunities that we could create a symbol within this document. So looking for some repeating elements here, I see we've got these little boxes for our gallery image placeholders down here. I think that'd be a really good opportunity to go ahead and create a symbol here. So let me go ahead and select one of these. It looks like we've got a locked layer there. So let me come in and unlock that gallery layer. Let's go ahead and select some of these components of this gray box or this placeholder here. Now I've got, it looks like several components here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab all those and group them together with a Control-G. Now, there's a couple different ways that we can create a symbol. Now, we could use this little button right here, which is our new symbol button. Let's go ahead and click that right now. You'll see here we get our symbol options dialog. Now, the really great thing about symbols in Illustrator is that if you're planning on sending your file over to Adobe Flash after you're done, these symbols that we create inside Illustrator are actually going to translate to symbols in Flash. So let's go ahead and give our symbol a relevant name here. I'm going to go ahead and call this symbol Gallery Image Placeholder. And right now the type of symbol is set to movie clip. Let's go ahead and change that over to graphic and hit OK. Now you'll notice here that we get a little thumbnail here next to our description or our name for our symbol. So let's go ahead and with that symbol selected, let's take a look at it in our appearance panel. You'll see here that no longer are we dealing with a group, but we're dealing with a symbol. So let's go ahead and just hide that here. Now right now the view I have set for my symbols panel is set to large list view. Now let me just go ahead and pull this over so you can see what I'm doing here. Your view may be set to thumbnail view by default. Let me go ahead and switch over to that. Yours may look something like this. Now, the more and more symbols that you accumulate in your symbol library for this document, the harder it's going to be to navigate that library. So I would encourage you to maybe explore one of these alternate views, either small list view or large list view. That way you can see the symbol name. And really you're going to be, as you get more symbols in here, you're going to start looking for the name and not necessarily the thumbnail of that symbol. Now, with our symbol created here, an ideal workflow would be to create that symbol before you've made all of these boxes here. So we've got 6 boxes here. I would probably create that symbol after I made the first one. That way we could just take this symbol and drag it in and create more instances of that symbol on our artboard and work more efficiently that way. So that way we're only creating one graphic instead of all 6 of these. So let's go ahead and delete those. Now we've got some other options down here, or some other buttons down at the bottom of our panel. Let's just take a look at those. This first button is going to just place that symbol onto our artboard, and it's going to drop it right in the middle of your artboard, or right in the middle of your screen there. So we've got that. And this button right here with the little broken chain is actually going to break the relationship of that object. It's no longer going to be a symbol. So let's go ahead and break that now. And by doing that, if we look at the appearance panel, you're going to see that this is now an object all of its own again. We can actually modify this one independently of our symbol. So I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and just delete that. We're not going to need that. Now if we go ahead and hide our appearance panel, you'll see here that the next box over, this is going to be our symbol options dialog. Same one we received when we first created our symbols. So that should be pretty familiar for you. And again, we'd already talked about the new symbol button, but I tell you what, there's actually another way we can create symbols. So let's come over here and look for another opportunity to create a symbol. I see one here with this little triangle. Now my idea when I was designing this website, or as I was creating this, was to have this triangle indicate that this is going to be a drop-down menu. And when you mouse over this drop-down menu and it drops down, this little triangle would move and it would sort of pull down with the drop-down menu and change appearance just slightly, like this one here. So I tell you what, let's go ahead and create a symbol instance, or a symbol in our library, out of this triangle right here. So I'm just going to grab that, I'm going to drag it up into our symbols panel, and we're going to get that symbol options dialog window again here. So let's call this one orange triangle, and then just say up, just so we know that that's the one when the drop down menu is in the up position. So we'll go ahead and create that here. And I tell you what, I've got my guides hidden right now, so I'm going to go ahead and turn those on by going to View Guides and choosing the Show Guides option. So I've set some guides here, so I know where to place that triangle for each one of these different drop down menus. So I'm just going to kind of zoom in here. Let's go ahead and drag in a symbol instance, and we'll just put it right there. And let's go ahead and snap that into position using our smart guides. There we go. Let's go ahead and drag in another instance of it right over here. And I'll drag in one final instance right here for this last drop-down menu. Just snap that right into position there. Alright, so I've got 4 instances of this symbol on our artboard. And let's say that, let me go ahead and just hide our guides again so we get those out of the way. Let's say that after we've got several symbols or instances of a symbol on our artboard, we decide, you know what, I need to make a change to that symbol. The really great thing about symbols is that if you make a change to a symbol, it's going to replicate to all instances of that symbol on your artboard. So let me go ahead and show you a couple ways that we can go ahead and make changes to a symbol. Let me just come over here with my symbol selected, and let's go to this little flyout menu. And you'll see the Edit Symbol option here. We can either select this option from that flyout menu, or we could just simply double click on our symbol in our symbol panel here. So let's just double click on that, and you'll see here that we've entered into isolation mode. So we've got isolation mode here, and we've got just our symbol here. So let's just go ahead and zoom in on that nice and tight, and let's take a look at this. I believe this is a group, so we're going to have to drill down a little bit deeper into isolation mode. So let's double click on the group, and zoom in a little closer here. Let's say we want to change the color of this orange triangle. Let's come in here and let's go ahead and maybe change the color here. Just double click on that. Let's change it to this pink color. And let's go ahead and change it to sort of a dark purple color there. Now this is not something that's going to go well with our design, but you can see here that by double clicking outside of that group, we've exited our isolation mode here, and you can see here that all instances of that symbol have been changed according to the changes we made in isolation mode. So tell you what, I don't think I like that change, so I'm going to go ahead and undo that. And you can see here we're right back to where we started with the orange triangles for all of our symbol instances. So you can really see how symbols can be a really great time saver. Now there's probably a lot of other opportunities here to create symbols. I would probably create symbols for these little dotted buttons, the up and down arrows. Probably create symbols for maybe even these organic flourishes and curls that we created in the last lesson. And you know, maybe even these white triangles here along this drop down menu. So you can see here that your symbol library is going to get pretty robust pretty quickly as you're working on a design. Now one cool thing about a symbol library is, as with the brush libraries we looked at earlier, you can actually export that. So let's go ahead and look at that now. If we go to this flyout menu, we can choose this Save Symbol Library option here. Now, by doing that, we're going to be presented with a dialog that we can save that as a .ai file, separate from the file we're currently working on. By doing this, we'll be able to come in here and actually open that symbol library in a new document, just by coming over, again, going to the Open Symbol Library. Now, you can see here there's a lot of different libraries here. Now, I know this is off your screen, but the very last one here is Other Library. Let me see if maybe we can shrink this up a little bit and pull this so we can see that. There we go. You can see here at the bottom of the list is Other Library. So While I've got this menu open here, you can see here that Illustrator comes with a lot of basic symbol libraries that we can open and we can look at. Now, again, encouraging you to be careful in using these libraries in your own artwork, because everybody who has Illustrator has access to these default symbol libraries. But you can see here there's a lot of really great examples here. Let's just take a look at maybe one of these here. Let's look at flowers. And you can see here that there's a lot of different flowers in that symbol library. So a lot of great examples there. And hopefully you can see that by effectively integrating symbols into your own workflow, you can really save a lot of time and really create a much smaller file because of all the symbol instances. Now, I'd like to encourage you to look for opportunities to integrate symbols into your own work, and in the next lesson we're going to come back and take a look at an exciting new tool in Illustrator known as the Width tool.